Hey, what's going on, everybody on YouTube? Steve here, Raiken Profit, coming to you guys with another video. And in today's video, I want to talk about the 10 biggest mistakes you must avoid when working with virtual assistants in your business, especially if you're working with virtual assistants that are overseas. The most common location that you're going to find really good virtual assistants are from the Philippines. And that's where most of my virtual assistants are from that I work with, outside of most commonly like graphic designers and whatnot. But I've worked with a lot of virtual assistants. Right now in total, I probably have 3 or 4 that I'm like working with on a consistent basis, 1 full-time and about 3 to 4 part-times. Some are freelance, like graphic designers. Others work with me on a part-time basis, like video editing, podcast editing, and just various things in my business. So I want to share the 10 things to avoid. Now, I made a video yesterday talking about why you should have virtual assistants, and I mentioned it a little bit. And if you want to grow your business, you've got to learn to focus on your strengths, outsource your weaknesses, and really leverage your time to make sure that you're climbing up the right ladder. So I want to talk about the 10 biggest mistakes to avoid right now with virtual assistants, and I have a lot of experience with. So this isn't coming from just theory, this is coming from working with a lot of virtual assistants. Number one, the biggest mistake I see people making, and this is the biggest mistake I've made in the past, is you hire a virtual assistant and you expect them to create a certain outcome for you, but the job outcome is unclear. Number one thing when you hire somebody, you want to hire for a role, and you want to make sure when you hire them that you're very, 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 very specific and clear in terms of what you want them to achieve. So many people, they might hire somebody for their Shopify store, or they might hire somebody to be a graphic designer. And the graphic designer is a good example, and they want them to create a certain type of graphic or a certain type of image or a logo for the website, but they don't really have any you're looking for. You've got to give examples. You got to be super clear in terms of, okay, I want this, I want it to look like this, I want it to feel like this, I want it to taste like this. And virtual assistants, they can't just read your mind. So you've got to be clear in terms of what you like. And that's one of the biggest things. Number two, one of the biggest mistakes I've noticed is people don't have an SOP, which stands for a standard operating procedure. There's no exact systems and no exact processes. When you hire somebody, for example, for my latest Raiken Profit show, it's a podcast, it's a YouTube show, I've got a blog, I've got an email that I send out to my email list. You can't just tell people to do something. You've got to actually break down every single little tiny step that's involved. And while it might not seem very complicated, for somebody who's not in your business, they have no idea what you'd like. So what you want to do is take the time to think about whatever it is that you're doing in your business right now. It could be listing on eBay, and maybe you're looking to outsource, the listing process. Write down every single thing you do. Go through the listing process and write down, okay, I did this, I created the title, I selected a like as, I researched the price, I researched the keywords, I copied and pasted the description. Write down every single little step, because that's going to be your standard operating procedure. That's known as an SOP. And you're going to have to break down each and every little tiny step if you want your virtual assistant to get the same result that you're getting. You can't just expect them to read your mind. You can't just expect them to know what to do. You've got to train them in terms of what to do. And there's quite a few different ways that I like to train my virtual assistants. The best way that I've found is to actually use a software called Screencast-O-Matic. It's just a screen share software. It records the screen. And I'll actually just record myself actually doing the task. And that's a cool software. It's only 15 bucks for the year, and you can actually download that as a file, or you can just send them directly to the website, and that website will actually host that video for you. They could watch the video, and then you could ask your virtual assistant to transcribe what they've learned, so the written text of your standard operating procedure. Then in a future reference, if they end up leaving or quitting, you already have that video on file, and you also have the text version of the standard operating procedure. Another tip is create a private Facebook group, make it a secret group, add all your virtual assistants into that group, and then add in those text SOPs and then the standard operating procedure videos. Organize it into different sections inside that private Facebook group. Add all your virtual assistants in there, and then again, when new people come in, you have to indoctrinate them, send them into the group, or kick them out if they leave, and you've got everything there for you. Mistake number 3 that I notice people make when working with virtual assistants is they don't have a deadline for a job. You've got to be crystal clear in terms of when you expect the job or the task to be completed. If you don't, I'm telling you right now, virtual assistants, employees, whether it's physical or digital, like virtual assistants, it's just not going to get done on time. You've got to be super specific in terms of when you want the job to be done. Number 4, everything is unorganized and you expect them to fix it. If your business is a mess, if your business isn't making money, if you don't have any systems in place, if you don't have a standard operating procedure in place, they're not going to be able to come in and fix everything for you. It's just the way it is. So you need to understand that it's really important to be organized in your business. It's very important to have clear expectations of what the virtual assistants can do for you. And if you're unorganized, it's going to make your life that much harder to manage virtual assistants. Plus, it's going to take them so much longer to be able to complete their tasks because you're unorganized. You want to take things slow at first. You want to get very crystal clear in terms of what needs to be done. Putting systems in place, processes in place, having a standard operating procedure in place. Okay, when a task is given, how do they know when it's due? Where do they deliver it? Who do they communicate to? What platform are you using to do all the communication, which I'm going to talk about? That's really big. Number 5, I've noticed one of the biggest mistakes people make when they're managing, especially multiple virtual assistants, is they are the bottleneck. And this was actually my problem recently until I learned about Trello. So I was managing multiple virtual assistants, from publishing content, creating content, editing, YouTube editing. I've had virtual assistants help with Amazon stuff, backend, eBay. And one of the problems was I would have multiple virtual assistants that were working with one another. So for example, I might have a graphic done, and when the graphic's done, I've got to take the graphic, send it to another person, and then once that's done, they have to upload it to a blog post, and then, you know, maybe that person has to take it and bring it to YouTube. I had all these different connecting parts, but I was the bottleneck because every time a virtual assistant completed their task, they'd have to send it to me, and then it was up to me to send it to the next person. So what you want to do is create a system where your virtual assistants can actually work hand in hand, and you're not the bottleneck. Your business can actually run without you. And one of the best ways that I found to do this is by using a free project management software called Trello. Definitely look into it. I'm not going to dive really deep into that in this video, but essentially I've trained my virtual assistants to not only complete their tasks, but what to do once they're done, which could entail communicating with another virtual assistant, giving them their task, and then it just essentially goes down the assembly line. So that's really big right there for efficiency. Mistake number 6, this is really, really big. Do not make this mistake. Do not fall into the place of believing that your virtual assistants are not human beings. They're normal, everyday people like you and I, all because we can't actually see them and they don't live near us. They might be in Russia or the Philippines or Ukraine or wherever, right? It doesn't mean they're not human. You need to treat your virtual assistants like every ordinary person in your life. You want to treat them kind. You want to listen to them. They have feelings, they have concerns, they have families. And if you treat them like human beings, if you compliment them, if you recognize them, if you really just listen to them and show your appreciation from time to time, you're going to get that much more from them. You're going to build a better relationship. They're going to give you more in your business, and you're going to make more progress in your business. So treat them like human beings. Don't just treat them like a random name or a random number. I think that's a big mistake right there. Mistake number 7. No daily or weekly check-in. When you're working with virtual assistants, it's very easy to get taken advantage of if you're not monitoring their results and their outcomes and their tasks. So if you're working with virtual assistants, especially if you're working on a lot of reoccurring tasks, or if they're doing a lot of things, or maybe they're part-time to full-time, and again, they're working with you on a regular basis, you want to make sure that that you have a system in place for them to be able to let you know what they've accomplished. So there's a couple ways that you can do this. One of the most common ways is just have one day out of the week where you Skype with them for like 10 or 15 minutes and you cover everything they've done, everything they've accomplished, what they're working on, what they haven't done, what do they need from you, and so on and so forth. Another way is to have them send you a file each day or each week. You can have this archived in a Trello card. You can have them send it to you via Google Drive in a Google Doc or a Google Sheet. You can have them post in a secret Facebook group like I mentioned before. But it's really, really important and crucial that they know that you're checking in on them, because if I've made this mistake so many times, if you don't check in, if you just let them do their own thing, they're going to take advantage of the hours. They're not going to work as hard. They're going to milk the clock, and you're going to lose money, and you're not going to get as much out of it. So it's best in the long run for both you folks to be on the same page, to understand, okay, this is what they've done, this is what they haven't done, this is the direction. Number 8, no standards were ever set up front when you relationship. When you hire somebody, especially a virtual assistant, you want to be very clear in terms of your expectations. How many hours a week do you expect them to work? When do you expect them to check in? What time should they be available for communication? So on and so forth. If you don't set the standards up front, you're going to get taken advantage of. I guarantee it. It's happened to me so many times in the past. Be very, very clear. Take things slow at first and set the standards. Number 9, you give them too much work at first and you lack in training and with the proper skill set. So it's really, really important when you hire a virtual assistant, you really want to take your time and be very slow at first, training them on exactly what it is you expect for them to accomplish. Don't just throw 25 tasks at them and say, okay, it's off to the races. That's a recipe for disaster. Start with one task and break out the standard operating procedure, break out the exact systems and processes and check-in methods and everything they need to do, and go slow, very, very slow. Nurture the relationship, build upon it. And then once they master that task, then you're gonna wanna move on to the next task. That's the best way to do it. And number 10, you are trying to manage all the virtual assistants yourself. One of the things that I found have been very beneficial in my business was to hire a virtual assistant manager, a project manager. This is actually something that I recently did. And you know, managing, people think that hiring a virtual assistant is gonna solve all the problems in your world and in your business, and while it can help significantly for you to get more stuff done and for you to accomplish more, it creates a new problem, and that problem is managing your virtual assistants, making sure that they're doing their work, making sure that it's quality work, making sure everything gets delivered, trying to find the work, paying them out. There's a whole new set of challenges that you're going to be faced with when you hire virtual assistants, and that's managing them. So once you get to the point where you have 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 virtual assistants, it's beneficial to hire somebody to manage the various projects that you have, which is essentially a project manager virtual assistant. So those are the 10 now. Again, this video was live. My phone says full service, but for some reason YouTube likes to tell me that I have poor connection, so I don't see many comments coming on the screen now, which I apologize for. So I don't know if the internet's having issues, but hopefully the live stream will come out decent once this is published and we're off the air. And this video can definitely benefit you guys to not only get started hiring a virtual assistant, but being able to efficiently manage and communicate with your virtual assistant to be able to get the best results. You know, it's going to take time. Hiring a virtual assistant is not exactly what you might think it would be. When you hire them, there's going to be some challenges, there's going to be learning curves and just things that you're going to have to put in place that you're not going to expect. But overall, I would never go back to not working with virtual assistants, and it's just great to have a team there for you and to really be able to help you to run your business when maybe you're doing other things. Rhonda says, I used a VA for 10 items one time, wasn't fully happy with them. So again, you know, if you're not happy with them, you've got to ask yourself, why am I not happy with them? Did they not deliver on time? Did they not do the job the way I wanted? Was it too expensive? Was it inefficient? Typically, it all comes back to putting your systems, processes, and standard operating procedures in line, and also having patience with your virtual assistant. And also, sometimes you got to realize you just might not have the right virtual assistant, or you might just not have a task that's worth outsourcing to your virtual assistant. You might need to find a new platform or a new strategy to be able to do whatever it is that you're doing. I know that's a little confusing, but for example, like if you're using a virtual assistant to help you with your eBay business, you might be using a certain software that's just inefficient, and you might have to find something differently that's more congruent with working with a virtual assistant. So yeah, those are the tips. Number one, the job outcome is unclear. That's a big mistake. Number two, you don't have a standard operating procedure in line. There's no exact systems or processes. Mistake number three, there are no deadlines for the job. That's really important. Number four, everything is unorganized and you expect them to fix it. They're not miracle makers. Number five, you are the bottleneck in your business. Every single time that you create a task or you outsource a task to multiple virtual assistants, there's more work that you create yourself to deliver everything and get everything in line. So you've got to have certain processes in line, such as Trello boards, Facebook group, Google Docs, to have your virtual assistants communicating with one another. Number six, you're not treating your virtual assistants like human beings, and it's backfiring on you big time. Number seven, you don't have a daily or a weekly check-in to make sure things are being done correctly in a timely manner and quality assurance is in line. Number eight, no standards were ever set, and now you're unhappy because your virtual assistants aren't checking in, aren't doing the work that you'd like, they're calling out on sick days, they're taking a week off. You've got to be very crystal clear at first and say, listen, this is what I expect, this is what I want. If you don't do what I say, you're gone. Now that was a little brutal right there, but in a sense, that's kind of how you have to be, or they're gonna run all over you, certain ones. I'm telling you, I've had some bad experiences. Number nine, you give them too much work at first. You're throwing a million different things at them, and you've never really taken the time to properly train them. And number 10, you might be working with multiple virtual assistants thinking that your life is going to get easier when it's actually becoming more challenging, because it takes a lot more time to manage virtual assistants than you might think if you don't have the proper systems in place. So that's about it. That's the video. Hopefully you guys learned some of the biggest mistakes to avoid working with virtual assistants. And I wish the internet was a little better because I want to answer your guys' questions. Let me know, oopsies, let me know if you guys have any questions, and I'd be happy to answer them. I can always tell the internet isn't working properly on these live streams when there's only like 20 people watching live. So if you guys did enjoy this video, do me a big favor and go down below and hit that like button. That's how I'm gonna know that you can see this video right now. Hey, what's going on, Richard? Living good. I like that name right there. Good to see ya. Mike says, great point about being crystal clear. This way they can't say they didn't know. Not only verbally being clear with your expectations, but having a standard operating procedure in line. Literally create a Trello board and have an SOP for each virtual assistant. Document all the reoccurring tasks that they have to do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, plus one-off tasks. So then if they don't do what they say or they skip out on jobs, now they can't argue. Yeah, I mean, this is a great way to take your business to the next level, but just understand hiring virtual assistants isn't going to fix a business that's not making money. It's not going to fix a business that is inefficient. It's not going to fix a business that doesn't have systems and processes in place. There's a lot of prerequisites to running a successful business, and virtual assistants, I'll put it this way, I think Tim Ferriss mentioned this in the 4-Hour Work Week. Having a virtual assistant is going to magnify a well-run, well-oiled business, or it's going to magnify a poorly run, inefficient business. So when you hire a virtual assistant, you're going to find out quite quickly what side of the coin you're on. And when I first hired my first virtual assistants a couple years ago, I was on the wrong side of the coin, I'll tell you. Agnelli says, Raiken, here's a request. Can you send me sunshine? I'm in North Ireland. Here's some sunshine for you right there. some Connecticut sunshine. So I'm just looking to see if you guys have any more comments. I'm actually, well, you can't see it. I'm just getting to the library now. I'm a long way from needing an assistant. Love the knowledge you are providing. You know, I appreciate that. Thank you. Having a my full-time personal assistant that I have, and she does all different types of things for me. She probably has about 15 reoccurring tasks, from social media to back-end administrative work to helping with YouTube, product launches, marketing, Facebook, Shopify. She earns about, I think, a little over $7 or $7.50 per hour. I just actually gave her a $1 raise, and she's actually one of the managers for various projects for me. And it's very cheap. You know, you can get a virtual assistant starting for $4 or $5 an hour, believe it or not. And if you go through a website called Upwork.com, that's Upwork.com, you can actually, well, I'll put it this way, they have a proprietary software that when the virtual assistant works, they log into it and you can track their time. Well, the software tracks their time, and it takes screenshots of the virtual assistant's computer so you can see that they're actually doing the work. So it's really cool with Upwork for sure. Hey, do any of you guys know Tanner J. Fox on YouTube? I want to know if you guys know Tanner at all. He's got a really, really cool YouTube channel. He's like blown up on the scene recently. He's actually going to be on my channel early November, so I'm really, really excited about that. That's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to interviewing more and more people. Check him out, Tanner J. Fox. He is a stone cold killer. He's actually an Amazon private label seller, and he makes a killing selling courses and affiliate marketing, and he's been doing like $200,000 to $300,000 profit a month. It's insane. So anyways, guys, that's about it. Looks like the comments are pretty much wrapping up. But anyways, guys, I appreciate it. Much love. Do me a favor, smash that like button down below. If you guys have any more future video ideas for the channel, definitely be sure to let me know. And you know, this video was brought to you guys because of a comment in yesterday's video. So if you have any more comments or questions, drop a comment below. I read all the comments and answer them. And yeah, look forward to seeing you guys next. Bye.